My name is Charlie Collins, and today we're going to do an oral history of your lifetime. We want to start out by asking you your full name, where, and when you were born. So can you tell us that?
Yes. I'm Bernard Mallard of Detroit, Michigan, where I was born.
And what year were you born?
1920.
1920. And do you remember the date?
Yes, the 8th of July.
8th of July,
1920.
1920.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you a little bit older than I.
Mm-hmm.
About 9 years, in fact. So Bernard, do you recall much that happened in your lifetime before you went to grade school?
Not too much, although I have family pictures of myself growing up.
Okay.
When I was, say, beginning to walk,
Mm-hmm.
and up until the present time, before I was inducted in the Army.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I bet you that's nice. I bet.
Yeah, I have in photographs.
Mm-hmm.
In a photographic book, these large books
Yeah.
that have 100 pages in, and I have it. Each page is covered with
pictures.
pictures, and I have a crystal clear plastic sheet in
Yeah.
between, so they don't stick.
So they don't stick together.
That's right.
Yeah. Bernard, what did your parents do for a living when you were born?
They were in when I was born, they were in the fur business.
In the fur business.
That's right.
Okay.
Manufacturing of furs and ladies' garments.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Your
That's
mother
true.
and father both, or was your mother a homemaker at that
Mother
time?
was the homemaker.
Uh-huh. And your father was in the fur business?
Fur business.
Well, that's a unique business. Probably isn't too many people in that anymore.
No, there isn't. There are people in it, but they're
Yeah.
not. You can't exactly call them furriers because they don't manufacture like they did years ago.
Yeah. So
They buy their garments already made up, and they're more or less salespeople.
yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how that process went on when your dad was there working in the fur business?
Well, he had a workshop where he manufactured the furs
Mm-hmm.
into garments. He was also a pattern maker, which I later took, and I received 3 diplomas in 3 different schools. One is a fur cutter, and one is a pattern maker, and one is a fitter.
As a fitter.
Fitter, in other words, fitting the garments to fit the person.
Okay, and your pattern making was patterns of garments?
Garments that a person would put on. In other words, I
Yeah.
made it to the individual patterns for individual people.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone else put it on, it wouldn't fit as nice.
That's right.
It would just fit the person, unless they happen to be made the same size.
So Bernard, in your younger years, can you recall much that happened before you went to grade school?
Before I went to grade school. Well, a little bit. I mean, those are little novelty things.
Sure.
I know, like I went to grade school, that was up until the 8th grade. I used to chum around with the principal's nephew. He had to be in my grade.
Yeah.
We were the same ages, and we liked and disliked the meals that we were getting at school. And across from the school was a apartment building, about 4 stories high, and a half a block long. And they had a basement store, a grocery store, that carried candies, cookies, and food to eat. So we used to, when we didn't like the food at the school, we used to sneak across the street and buy these sandwiches or cookies with milk.
That's kind of interesting. Also a little bit fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. They had things there in that grocery store that the school children could buy.
Yes,
Yeah.
this they did, especially they were very busy after after school hours.
Yes.
And before the middle of the day, that's at 12 noon when school opened up again. Because most of the students would go home to eat.
Okay. So they didn't have major meals at the school at that time? They didn't
Yeah,
have?
not too many. They did have a little bit, but not much.
So do you recall you had a friend there that was the nephew of the principal? Do you recall any of the other kids that you went to school with?
Well, some girls that I jumped around with, but I haven't seen them since my school days at all.
Okay. Anything unique happened in the lower grades? Excuse me. Any particular things that stand out in your mind that you guys did, or?
No, I can't recall too much what I did in my younger.
Okay.
In lower grades.
Let's talk about your high school then. You were born in the 20s, so about 1932. You went to high school.
Yeah. I
Okay.
went to high school when I was 16.
You went to high school when you were 16.
That's the 10th grade.
So that would have been 1936.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 16 when I graduated from high school.
Then you graduated in 36.
Yeah, I graduated in 36.
Yeah. It's got to come down a little line.
I think I have my grade school book with my picture in it.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
We're just adjusting the light a little bit there. It's a little bit dark. Does that bother your eyes at all?
No, no.
Okay. Bernard, did you play any sports in high school?
I did play tennis.
Play tennis?
Mm-hmm. But then I had to give it up after I played about a year because of the foot trouble I had. I had a large board on the heel of my foot, and I couldn't wear a shoe at all. And I had to wear a slipper through the last year and a half of high school.
Oh my!
Because it was a stubborn board that wouldn't go away. I had it operated on about 3 different times with the electric spark, electric knife, and with medication.
And so you couldn't play tennis because of that.
Right.
Excuse me. Did you get involved in any of the high school plays or anything like that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. How did you do in school? Did you like your teachers?
I liked the teachers. Well, there were some, like in every school, I think, were good and some weren't so good. Or at least we thought they weren't any good.
Right. They were probably the ones that taught you the most, right?
That's right.
Okay, Bernard, tell us about your graduation in high school. Would have been 1936?
Yes.
And anything special go on then? Did you have a commencement exercise?
So
Or?
we had commencement exercise, and and that was about it for me.
During that period of time, was your father still working in the fur business?
Yes.
And you, after high school, did you go to work with him, or did
Yes,
you?
I went to work with him.
You did. Did you go to college?
Yes, I went to college.
You went through college as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, in between that time, I took a civil service test, and I got a job as a helper to the foreman of the work group there. As a matter of fact, they thought my work was very good, and when I told them I was going to be sent into the Army, they didn't want to believe me at all. And in order to prove it, they required me to send them a letter from the captain of the organization that I joined. So I had the captain sign a letter stating that I'm a member of his group and that I'm inducted in the Army.
Oh, really?
So then they believed me.
Then they believed you. Now, so when was you inducted into the Army? What year? Do you remember?
Not exactly what you want to be. I haven't given it much thought recently.
No? Where did you go to college?
At Wayne University.
Wayne University.
Mhm.
Okay.
At
And
that time, it wasn't Wayne, it was City College.
called the City College at that time.
City of Detroit.
Bernard, did you graduate from college?
Yes,
And so in 1940 or around there, you graduated from college.
yes.
During that period of time, there was a lot of unrest in the world. Do you recall paying much attention to that or know what was going on in Europe and in Asia?
Well, I would say I actually didn't pay very much what was going on, but I had a general idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew it would affect me in some way or another.
Yes, and you at that time then enlisted in the service?
Yes.
And what branch of service did you enlist in?
Well, I enlisted in the service, and when I landed into the group in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where the training was taking place, they withdrew me from that group, original group, and put me in the group for officers training.
Okay, so you enlisted as an enlisted man,
Mm-hmm.
and then you went to OES, Officers Training School.
That's right.
So where was that?
That was in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
The Officers Training School was, or were you
The officers training was in Virginia.
in Virginia? So you had taken your basic and been sent to Cheyenne, Wyoming
That's right.
as an enlisted man.
Mm-hmm.
And in Cheyenne, Wyoming, then you went to Officers Training School. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the training you received as in Officers Training School. Can you tell us what went on at that time and the training that you took?
I wouldn't have to be guessing that. See, I haven't given it much of a thought at all.
Well, don't. If you haven't given it much of a thought, we'll skip it and go on to something else. How's that?
Right? Because right now I'm probably guessing at some of the answers.
Sure, that's fine.
Because I'm at that state where I'm a little forgetful of what's going on.
Yeah, well, so am I. So we're a pair then, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Bernard, he was in Maryland, is that right?
Yeah, Maryland near Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia?
Virginia.
Okay. Excuse me. All of a sudden I got a little hoarse throat here. Don't know how it happened. So now you're in Officers Training School, and how long was you there?
It must have been 3 months.
3 months. So you were one of those 90-day wonders.
Wondered, that's right. And then shortly after that I was sent overseas.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, what year was that, Bernard? Do you know?
Could have been 41
1941.
or 42.
42 was after Pearl Harbor.
Oh yeah, it was after
Yeah,
Pearl Harbor.
Because I don't think they started that style of school until after Pearl Harbor, did they?
That I don't know.
I don't think so. Anyway, so now you're what, second lieutenant?
Yes.
And you were
But
sent.
I wasn't activated yet, but I was a second lieutenant.
Okay. So what went on then? As you became a second lieutenant, wasn't too long, and they decided to send you overseas.
Yes.
And where did they send you?
To London, England.
Oh my.
I didn't actually go there directly, but I went through, what's the name of it? That would be,
Did you go to Iceland?
yeah, we passed Iceland,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't, the boat docked outside of Iceland.
So how was your trip?
The trip was all right. It had no ill effects on me.
Did you have to do a zigzag at that point, or?
Oh yeah, we were told after.
Yeah.
But it so happened I was lucky I had one of the fastest ships
Okay.
at sea.
Yeah.
It was a English ship. It just came from India, and they were taking us back to London.
And the weather was good?
The weather so far was good.
So not too many guys got seasick?
No, not too many. I got seasick coming home.
Oh, you did?
We ran into the worst ocean weather.
Worst
storm.
storm.
One of the worst storms that there was recorded.
Okay.
I thought the ship was going to sink and it was going to break in half.
Wow. So
That
let's talk a little
The
bit.
ship was going up and then down, like,
Yeah.
and I was in the middle there. I was seasick at the time. I figured the ship was going to go down and go straight down.
Keep right on going down.
But it went down and it came back up again, shot up again, and then down again, and then up again.
Almost makes you seasick now thinking about it, doesn't it? Bernard, so you were sent to England as a second lieutenant,
Yeah.
and for more training, or what did you do when you got there?
Well, I was assigned to headquarters,
Okay.
quartermaster headquarters, where I took orders when the fellows came in from overseas to London. We would check their supplies, what they had and what they were short,
Okay.
and then pass them on further to make sure that they had all their equipment.
All their
At
equipment.
the time they would land in France,
Mm-hmm.
at Cherbourg there.
So you were in, what kind of a headquarters would they call that? Just headquarters?
This headquarters.
Okay. What time of year was that? Was that, and let's put that time kind of in context. Was that before D-Day?
No, it was after D-Day.
Was after D-Day when you got over there?
Yeah, it was after
Okay.
D-Day.
So you were checking in and
Or D-Day was going on.
D-Day was going on when you were sent over?
Yeah, I was kind of lucky that they didn't take me over from England in a boat.
Yeah.
They flew me over,
Oh, they did?
so I avoided that rough sea.
Yeah.
And then from there on, we went by truck.
So they flew you to France?
Yes.
Okay. And after you got flown over to France, where did you go?
Well, we went to the headquarters down there to get reassigned.
Okay.
And then we were just assigned to the group that was just, I forgot the company, but assigned to go inland, further in. In other words, and it so happened at that particular time, we were moving kind of fast.
Yes.
So we got to one place, we got shifted over to another place.
And you still were in what you'd call headquarters, and
Yes,
was assigning and checking to see that the guys had their
supplies.
supplies. So you was in supply depot.
Yeah, I know. And then when we got in London, in Paris, I was in charge of seeing that the soldiers would have food and clothing, and also to take care of the civilians with food and clothing. See, the Germans confiscated all the food to their headquarters
In Paris.
in Paris.
Yes.
And then they distributed the food and the clothing as they saw fit. They didn't ask the public, they just gave them what they wanted to.
Okay. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. So now you're in Paris and in a supply depot, and were you still second lieutenant then?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't activated into
Into a unit.
Into a unit.
Yeah. So, tell me what went on next. What happened next? You were in Paris. You'd flown over there. You were in a supply depot, checking the guys to see that they had the supplies they needed.
Oh, yeah.
And
I had a very big problem. I had to find what to do with a square block, 4-story high building. It
Wow.
was filled with liquor, about cognac, champagne, and anything you could think of.
and that was a problem?
That was a problem. Who to get it so that they would redistribute it fairly decently to the public,
Okay.
for public use.
Yeah. That was a big problem. Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
get a chance to drink any of that?
I drank some of it, although not much because I'm not a drinker.
Okay.
See, and I turned it over to them because they use that as the collateral
Yeah.
for their charges that they would need.
Well, you're a little different than some of the fellows I've interviewed. Some of them say they stayed drunk all the time I was over there.
No, I never was drunk.
Okay.
Although when I was with headquarters company, I used to take home with me to the hotel room that I was assigned about 5 or 6 bottles of champagne, and I would give it to the fellas.
At the
Because
hotel.
or my headquarters company, because they couldn't get to where I was.
So you were a good Samaritan and brought some booze out for the other
You
guys.
know, and then they had almond or nigger toes, those brown shell, and you
Yes.
break them, so it's like a slice of grapefruit
Yeah.
curvature, and you have to crack the shell around it, and you take out a nice nut in there, meaty nut.
Right.
So I used to bring that back home.
So they had a lot of those there?
Yeah.
All right.
As a matter of fact, I sent some to my relatives that I found in London while I was there.
That's a funny name, but I remember, I haven't seen any of those lately, not in many years, in fact, but as a child, we used to get them all the time. And that's what they called them, was nigger toes.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name of the nut really was.
It comes, I saw how they get them. It comes in like in a coconut. They crack open the coconut, and inside they have these nuts in there.
There must be a seed then.
Probably it's a seed.
Yeah,
And how they got it, I don't know.
I don't either. That's kind of interesting. I had never thought of it that way, but yeah, I used to get them in our Christmas stocking and things like that.
Unless they had the black man when they were slaves to work on it, so somebody used to call them.
Must
Yeah.
be,
Must be
yeah.
colored.
Bernard, as time went on and you were there in France, what did you do and where did you go?
Where did I go? Well, from there I went to Belgium.
Okay,
Notice your name. Namur, Namur, Belgium. And then from there, I went to Germany.
all right. What did you do in Belgium?
I didn't do too much in Belgium. I started to, but then we were moving at that time very fast.
Moving pretty fast.
In other words, we passed the bulge,
You-
and we were moving fast, so I had to give up that to another group
mhm.
and went on further in.
So then you moved on into Germany.
And then we moved on to
Yeah.
Germany.
And where were you at and what did you do in Germany?
Well, I spent 5.5 years there.
Really?
Almost that long.
5.5 years
Yeah. In Germany.
in Germany.
I was
So
an Army of Occupation.
okay, so you were assigned to the occupation army.
Yes,
Okay,
with the same work that I was doing before.
Still in supplies and
Stolen supplies and redistribution.
redistribution of things, and for the 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you advance in rank at all?
No, but they said that if they tried to get me to re-enlist, and my 3 years was up, getting to be up into the war, and they would send me over to the Japanese war, and over there I would be upgraded. And I said, well, I don't care about the second bar. I want to get home first, and I don't want to be dead coming home. Because I heard that they were fighting in the jungle.
They were, yes, sir.
So I didn't care for that. I figured, well, I'd better be in one piece and come home in a box.
So you stayed in Germany?
So I stayed in Germany.
And they didn't advance your rank?
No, they didn't. But again, before I was discharged, they said they would if I would re-enlist. And I told them no thanks. I said I served my time and...
Well, now, if you were there 5.5 years, were you just in for what they called the duration? Or how did you get in that? How were you there that long without re-enlisting?
Well...
Good question, huh?
That's a good question. See, I haven't given it much thought at all.
Did you have an opportunity, Bernard, to travel much while you was there in Germany as in
Oh,
the
yes.
occupational forces?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us some of the places that you saw and went to.
I went to Cologne, Germany, and the place was absolutely lovely. There wasn't a building or a house setting.
No kidding.
That's right. You know, it's all you saw was basements. And
Wow.
they had tarps, the Germans put tarps, they sprung up tarps over the top, and they had electric wires, so they connected and made the electricity work there. And at night, when you get up to look down the street, you'd see tarps over big holes and light coming through.
Wow.
So they had light to see in the dark at night.
Well, that wasn't really a pleasant sight, was it?
No. But it couldn't be helped.
No. Now, any other places that you traveled to while you were there?
Well, the only traveling I did in other places where I was to look for food.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to the farmers there, and I used to get eggs. As a matter of fact, a lot of the farms there were worked by women, and also nuns. Like I was paired up with a Polak, and we went together. And it so happened they had a lot of Polish people in these farmhouses because Germany went into Poland and took the Poles to run their food production.
And so after the war, the Polish people stayed there to
be their food producers in Germany as a whole unit.
Yeah.
And what was left, then they would distribute so much food for them to have, and the rest goes to Germany. And let's see.
Well, now, Bernard, as you served out your time there in Germany and in the occupational forces, tell us what went on and how you got back to the States.
Well, I have to guess on some of it.
Okay.
Well, I got back to the States by
ship, did you not?
I came back by ship, a naval ship, troop carrier ship, that was making its last voyage back to the Atlantic Ocean, and then that was going to go through, after it reached America, was going to go around South America to go through the Panama Canal,
Oh, okay.
and then to go over to the West Ocean,
To go over to the Pacific.
go over
Yeah.
the Pacific.
Okay. Were you married at that time? or-
No, I wasn't married at all.
Tell us, after you got home, what was the first thing you saw as you arrived in the States?
The first thing I saw that I knew I was home was the Statue of Liberty.
Was it?
Yeah, then we were sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we landed,
So you came into New York.
came to New York Harbor, and we landed, and we got reassigned in New York for a short period of time until we were sent home.
Okay. Now, after your stint in the service, what did you do?
Got my degree.
Went to college.
Got my degree, and then I
Did you go on the GI Bill?
yeah, under the GI Bill,
Okay.
and then I went to work with my father. He became ill, and I helped him,
Okay.
and he gave me the training, and I stayed with it.
So you spent much of your lifetime making fur clothes.
Yes,
What kind of clothes did you make? Coats and
coats and women's coats,
women's coats.
and alterations and restyling.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I got 3 degrees. One in cutting furs, one in pattern making for women's garments, cloth and fur, and remodeling.
So did you go to college to get those degrees?
No, I went to trade school.
Trade schools.
Mhm.
Okay. So you spent your time in working in your father, was it his business?
Yeah, it was his business.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about that business.
Well, in that business there, it was a business that had workers with him that knew how to sew and make up garments.
Mm-hmm.
And he also made suits and coats for women, made them, fit them, and styled and restyled them.
And you actually did custom work then?
It was custom. It was more or less a custom tailoring.
Mm-hmm.
There was a hard to fit woman. She'd go in and she didn't have the perfect size. She may be 2 sizes. She may have hips for an 18 and she's only a 14,
Mm-hmm.
size 14. So she'd have to have a lot of altering, and many of the people didn't know how to make the alteration so the garment didn't look shabby
Yes.
or skimpy.
How did your father get into it?
He got into it, tell you how. See, he was originally a ladies' custom tailor. He'd make garments made to fit. In other words, women that are hard to find clothes. In other words, a woman can be a size 16, but she has a chest of a 34, 36. So there's alterations, and he would work on that. So in other words, he was a pattern maker too. So he could make the garments to fit, just
So-
like he trained me.
What was the name of your company?
M. Mallard,
M. Mallard?
that's right. The
Okay.
M stand for Morris, was my
Okay.
dad's name.
And how long did you spend, how many years did you spend doing that?
Oh, good number of years. Let's see. I mean, after that, I mean, it'd be after the war.
Mm-hmm.
I spent up until the present time.
Really?
Mhm.
So,
Matter of fact, I still have some of the equipment that I had.
oh, do you?
Figuring that I'd be able to do some firm business while I'm home. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
be able to, the only trouble is that during that time I got some trouble with my foot. I was in a car accident.
Oh, my goodness.
I got my foot caught in under the dash. And you say, how'd you get it caught under the dash? Well, I happened to hit a car,
Huh.
and the
Yeah.
car split, bent in half. It just caved in, snapped over, and I got my foot caught
Oh,
into it, and it did. It broke the bones, fractured them. And luckily there was a good surgeon at the emergency hospital at the time, and he performed 9 operations on my foot, and he put in 2 plates and wires to hold my foot up into the shape that it is now. But the only thing is now it's swollen yet. The swollenness hasn't gone down.
Yeah,
completely.
so how long ago was that, Bernard?
No, it must be about every bit of 3 years or more.
3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard, obviously you're a Mason.
That's an amazing,
And-
lifetime medicine.
That was what I was just gonna ask you. When did you join the lodge?
When I was about 21.
When you was 21?
Mm-hmm.
So were you still in the service
No,
after you come back?
that's actually
And what lodge did you join?
I think it was 35
Okay. In Detroit?
in Detroit.
Yeah. Did you ever go through the officers' chairs?
Just once.
Just once. So you're a past master then?
No, I'm not past.
Okay, just 1 year then, you mean?
Hmm.
Well, let's see, what else do we want to talk about?
did you ever get married?
Did you ever get married?
No, I didn't.
Never got married, so your work kept you busy and you didn't get married. You just fitting all these women, probably saw too many women.
Probably did. I didn't find the right one.
Didn't find the right one.
And when I did, she wanted to get married by then, and I wasn't quite ready. So she was afraid of being a
Old maid?
old maid, so she got married. She
Mhm.
married somebody else.
So when did you move up here?
When did you move up here to the Masonic home, Bernard?
Signing home, I moved up here, it must be about 3 to 5 years.
So were you in the car accident after you moved up here?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so about 3 years then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was sent here more or less because they had the facilities to straighten my foot out.
I see.
The best place where I could get it.
Mhm. Do you enjoy it here?
I enjoy it here, except for a few occasions. I mean, any place you go, there's dislikes,
Sure.
and then there's dislikes in personnel,
Mhm.
because you find all sorts of personnel.
You bet.
Those that have the interest of the patient and those that don't. You have those that are doing it to occupy time for their old age pension.
Yeah.
That's what I figured out to be.
You bet.
Because I've told many of them that, why are you here? Why don't you, if you don't care for the work, well, it's a place where we get our pension.
Mhm.
See, they don't care what we do, as long
Right.
as we're here. As long as you don't make a fire or anything, you're okay.
Bernard, it's been a real pleasure to spend the time and to talk with you. And you kind of had a unique lifetime there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So we want to, Carol and I want to thank you, and let me just stand up here and shake your hand.
Okay.
Okay, my friend?
Okay.
Yeah.